everyone! So as you can see, I have a different background. I'm staying at my parents' house this week, and I had brought my video camera with me, but it had no battery in it. So I'm recording this on my mom's iMac, so the video quality probably won't be as good, but the sound quality will be better. And since this is more of an informational video, I figured that would be more important. And there are 3 dogs running around here, so I do apologize if it gets a little noisy or distracting. But this is a video I am so excited to make. It's eating for anxiety. And this has definitely been a journey for me. Food is definitely something that I have a love-hate relationship with, which I feel like everybody does. And there are so many food issues linked to depression and anxiety that I feel that it's really important to talk about it and to realize that there is a connection. People either undereat or overeat, or even if you don't think that you do, just try to think about the times that you are depressed and anxious and how you deal with food. Food should be your friend. It should be something that is giving you fuel. That's how I had to learn how to look at it, as something that's fueling you. That if you don't eat, you're going to feel awful, and if you eat too much, you're also going to feel awful. So it's about finding that balance, and for everybody it's different, and I'm going to kind of go through my guidelines of what works for me and what makes me feel less anxious and less depressed when it comes to food. And I'm also going to be putting on my blog my kind of sample menu of what I eat basically every single day. And it is basically every single day because I like ease and simplicity. And when I go to the grocery store, I don't like to think. I just like to buy the same things. I know the amounts I need. I know what I need, and I get out of there. So because of that, I like to eat the same things every day. I know a lot of people have trouble with that, but it does add for ease, so it's definitely something to consider. So I did want to talk about my journey of food as a person. When I had anxiety and depression really bad, it was, I don't even know how long, I guess 4 years ago, which is a really long time ago. I was told by numerous doctors and numerous just random advice givers that exercise is the best thing for you. And I agree, it totally is awesome when you're anxious or depressed. Exercise is something that releases endorphins, it makes you feel good, it's really awesome. But if you're still eating crappy food, if you're getting fast food, if you're eating bags of chips every night, if you're just gorging yourself, or if you're just not eating at all because you're sad and you just don't feel hungry, then that exercise isn't really going to be helping you. It's just kind of a moot point at that point. So definitely for me, it took me a little long to figure out that what I was putting in my body was way more important than what I was actually doing. And that's when I became really passionate about helping people realize how awesome food is and how healthy things can be tasty and yummy and fun. And it's definitely taken me a long time to get here. I've dabbled with being vegan and vegetarian, and I'm allergic to wheat, so I don't eat that. And that's not for any weight loss reason or anything like that. I'm just truly allergic to it. I have celiac disease, and it's definitely been a journey. And I know that if you're allergic to something, like you're lactose intolerant but you still drink milk, or you're allergic to wheat and you still eat bread, then you're going to feel awful all of the time, and that's going to contribute to your depression and your anxiety. So it's about you. It's about finding what works for you, and it's about experimenting. For example, for the past 2 days, I've not been eating eggs because I feel like every time I eat them, I don't feel well afterwards. And it's just about being in tune to your body, because people with anxiety are often too in tune to their body, but you might be concentrating on the wrong signals. You might be looking for those signs of anxiety when you really could be hungry, or maybe you just feel bad because you just ate a really crappy fast food meal. And food definitely affects everything that we do. It affects how we look, how we feel, everything in our lives. So I wanted to kind of go through what works for me and my guidelines for eating for anxiety, I guess. Caffeine. Caffeine is definitely a big one. I have never had like a Red Bull or a Monster energy drink or anything like that, so I cannot speak to that. But coffee definitely makes me jittery. And I've only recently become a coffee drinker. My boyfriend is, and I live with him, so it kind of rubbed off on me. I don't know if that's a bad habit or not, but he's definitely a huge coffee drinker. So I will sometimes have one in the morning, but that's pretty occasionally. I'm more of a tea drinker, and when I drink tea, it's usually green tea, which doesn't have as much caffeine as coffee. If you are a coffee drinker, it might, if you have anxiety as well, it might be important to kind of tone that back a little bit, because I know if I have too much coffee, I'm going to have a panic attack because I'm feeling way too jittery, way too like jumpy, and that jittery, jumpy feeling I often mistake for anxiety. So that's definitely something to consider, especially a lot of people have their anxiety in the morning like I do, and the morning is usually when you have your cup of coffee. So there might be a correlation between the two if you see both of those in your diet. The other thing is sodium. It's important to limit your intake of sodium. I know that if I have too much salt, I feel really bloated, really dehydrated, and it just doesn't make me feel well. I get headaches as well. I also get headaches if I have too much caffeine, but I'm a very headache-prone person. That was just kind of a sidebar, little interesting fact about me. But sodium is in tons of packaged and processed food, so it's important to look at the sodium labels and see how much sodium is in things, and if there is a lower sodium option, maybe getting that would be better overall. Sodium, I don't think has a direct link to anxiety, not that I know of, but I just know if I feel like crap, I'm more prone to be depressed and anxious. So that's definitely something to consider, especially if you're eating a lot of processed foods. Water, extremely important. It kind of goes without saying. Sorry, my mouth got dry. Water is the most important thing. You should be drinking a ton of it. I know I do. It's always great to carry a water bottle around with you. If you can find a cute water bottle, that's even better. I'm like having issues right now. And so I heard once that if you are thirsty, then you are already dehydrated. I don't know if that's true, but so you should be drinking even when you're not thirsty. I know that if I'm thirsty, I'll just gulp down an entire bottle of water and then my stomach will hurt. So it's important to take little sips throughout the day and kind of monitor yourself. It's also important to keep like a food journal or something of that sort. There are tons of apps for it, or you could just write it down on a piece of paper. But what I like to do is write down what I eat, and then like maybe like 20-30 minutes later kind of write down how I felt afterwards, because then you can kind of gauge what makes you feel good after you eat it and what makes you absolutely feel like crap. And that means you might have an allergy or an intolerance to something, or it just might mean that your body doesn't like it and is telling you, no, can I have something else? So it's definitely important to do that so that you can go on this food journey and kind of figure out what works for you. Whole unprocessed foods are the best to eat, whether you have anxiety, depression, or you don't. Produce and stuff like that. I spend most of my time in the grocery store in the produce section getting fruits and vegetables and things like that. I heard that it's good to kind of go around the perimeter of most grocery stores, which would be like the fruit and veggies, the meat and dairy, and stuff like that, because the stuff in the middle is the more processed stuff. So if you kind of adhere, I guess, to that rule, then most of the things that you get are going to be healthy. I don't eat things that are overly processed, and I don't eat things that have ingredients that I cannot pronounce, and that's all because I like to eat whole foods, but it's also because of my wheat allergy, because if I don't really know what's in something, I don't eat it because I know that I'll be vomiting for the next 3 days. So it's definitely important to know your body and know which ingredients you react well and you don't react well with. Eat a lot and eat healthily. I am constantly eating, but I'm constantly eating things like carrots and hummus, or strawberries and apples and peanut butter. And if I'm hungry, I'm gonna eat. I listen to my body, and if my body tells me I'm hungry, I'm gonna eat. I don't starve myself, and I don't completely go on the other spectrum and binge. And I've been through both. I remember when I was in high school and I was going through like a really bad breakup. I just didn't eat. I was never hungry, and I lost a bunch of weight, and I was depressed. So I didn't eat. And then there was another time in my life when I would just gorge my face because I was, using food as that emotional thing that's there for me, and I was just starving, eat, and then I gained a bunch of weight. So it's so important to have a good relationship with food, and it's often not associated with depression and anxiety, but the more people I talk to and have these conversations with, the more food is brought up. And the more people are saying, well, I have an eating disorder, or I'm overweight, or stuff like this. And it's really important to realize that there is a direct connection between food and depression and anxiety. It's huge. And I don't think a lot of people realize that. A lot of people just kind of think of it as a side effect, but eating right can totally not cure, but heal depression and anxiety. I feel like I say that constantly, but it's just so true. So I just eat healthy snacks throughout the day, and I have a good relationship with food. I don't feel like I have to gorge myself or anything. I don't ever feel hungry, and just eating small snacks throughout the day really, really helps me stay on track, and it helps my anxiety because I pack these snacks and I bring them with me, so I'm never like, oh my god, I'm so hungry, what am I gonna do? So I think it's really important that we kind of just realize that relationship. I personally avoid soy, and there's a lot of controversy around it. I've heard so many ends of the spectrum, but for me, it just doesn't agree with me. I remember when I was in high school, I used to eat those big bags of those like ranch soy chips, and then the next morning I would always get a panic attack, and I never really put two and two together until later in life. But I definitely don't think that I like agree well with it. Maybe it's because I ate an entire bag, or maybe it's because my body doesn't like it. I don't really know which one it is, but I do avoid soy. So this is just kind of me telling you that there, after experiencing things and writing things down, you kind of realize what foods agree with you and which ones don't. A lot of people talk about organic and pesticides. I don't know a lot about that. I just know that I try to buy organic when I can, but I know it's expensive. I know there's a list online of things that, like fruits and vegetables, that you should definitely buy organic, and then ones that you don't really have to worry about. And to be completely honest, I wish I could adhere to it, but I really don't, just because of the cost. And I know that that's super bad, but that's just where I am in my life right now. I tried to do it with apples once, and I bought organic apples, and it was like twice the amount that I would have paid for my regular apples, and the organic apples were super gross and grainy. And then one other time I bought an organic apple, and it was super gross, so like I really don't know. That was just my experience with it. But I do buy organic definitely in meat and in eggs and dairy. That is really important to me because I watched this documentary about it, and it was really gross. So I definitely try to be as organic and as environmentally friendly as possible. And I feel like there could be a connection between hormones and pesticides and anxiety and depression. So that's definitely something to look into if that interests you. Another thing is extremist diets don't work. If you're feeling depressed or anxious about something and you go on a crazy fad diet or something like that, it's going to wreak havoc on your metabolism, and it's going to make your anxiety or depression worse, most likely. It's definitely important, like I said, to eat throughout the day, to constantly be fueling yourself for the day, and just making sure that you're eating healthy and eating whole, wonderful foods. Like I said, it's trial and error. You're gonna one day you're going to want french fries and you're going to eat them, and then you're going to be like, oh my god, I feel terrible. And then, the next day you're going to eat fruits and vegetables and be like, wow, I feel awesome. And then, you're going to fall off the bandwagon, you're going to get back on. It's just going to be constantly going around, and I still do it every day. So it's definitely a journey, and it's something that I feel like people with depression and anxiety should go on, because it's so rewarding when you finally figure it out and you get a passion for it and you want to eat well and you just tell everybody about it. So I definitely just wanted to share this with you guys. Like I said, my sample menu of my day will be on my blog, which the link will be below. Thank you so much for watching and enduring me for 14 minutes and 20 seconds. And I will talk to you guys soon. Bye, everyone.